This is a Wild Age Production podcast.
You remember.
Roll your stealth roll?
Game books, pencils, pizza, cheese puffs, and a hell of a lot of dice.
And the Dragon Ball Cup.
Roll for Initiative. This is the Roll for Initiative podcast, where 1E is the place to be.
The Roll for Initiative podcast. We're in volume number 9. I am DM Vince, sitting alongside DM Nick.
Hi, everybody.
We're back for another episode of the Roll for Initiative podcast. This week, we're going to talk about the Dungeons & Dragons card. Oh, we do that every week. Never mind.
Yeah, and why are you talking like in a real wispy voice? That's really creepy. Don't do that.
Well, that's that whole ASMR, Esmer. That's actually a thing now. If you look that up, it's like automated something response, something or other. There's all these there's all these videos on YouTube where people are talking like this, and if they whisper just like this, it's supposed to trigger something inside your brain that makes it feel really good, and you have like a braingasm.
What?
It's supposed to the whispering sound. I forget what the heck is exactly called, but it's ASMR if you look it up. And
okay,
it's like an automated sound response, something or other. So different sounds create different feelings in your brain, and the whispers sound like this, really breathy, is supposed to trigger something in your mind that they call braingasms. You ever have that feeling that you get that little tingly feeling on the top of your head that goes down your back to your spine? You know you've had that before, not from just whispers, but...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's what it's supposed to trigger in people. Not everybody experiences it, but quite a few people do. And they have this entire thing. It's weird because the videos on YouTube, I just found about this last week. The videos on YouTube for this are basically generally only girls doing it, but whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're cosplaying in different things like, Fortnite or Overwatch. And they're not doing anything really horrible or anything. They're just basically in front of the camera and they're whispering, "Here, let me help you." And you see they put their hands in front of the camera as if they're doing something to help you. Supposedly the voice and the whole hands that close simulating a touch is supposed to trigger this whole thing, though. Didn't do anything for me, so apparently I'm not one of those people, or I'm not into that stuff. So
yeah, you're not insane.
I didn't want to go there, but okay, Nick, you went.
No, I did. I don't care. It sounds crazy, insane, stupid, but that's just me.
Well, there's tons of videos, and these people are making tons of money doing it, so.
Millennials.
Yep.
Kids today with their rock and roll music.
Oh,
yeah.
Speaking of millennials, I found out last week also while I was doing that I may be what they call a zennial, which is a mix between a Generation X and a millennial because of when I was born.
Really?
Yeah, they decided that there's a new category of generations in the gaps now. And the way my birth year falls, it's on the very edge of Generation X and the beginning of this new generation they call zennials that were born from a certain...
Well, what year were you born?
75. But
I was just going to say.
Yeah, I'm Generation X, but
right.
I'm the generation end of the year gap, so that means that I cross over into the gap of millennial, but I'm not a millennial because the millennial actually starts in starts in 85 or 84. So they made up a new one called zennials. Basically, we're Gen Xers that adapted to technology faster than the Gen X generation, but not quite as fast as the millennial generation. That's the only difference.
Okay.
We know
I'll run with it.
We've experienced the whole, no cell phones, using rotary phones, using VCRs, having to call somebody's house and having to talk to their parents. Also, at the same time, we've experienced social media, cell phones, texting, and things like that. Maybe we didn't jump on the whole thing like millennials did, but we did jump onto it. So that's the only difference.
Well, I was born in 71. Where'd that put me?
That puts you at Generation X.
Good.
Yeah, you're part of the whole social media, rah, cell phones. So
I'm okay with it. Whatever.
anyway,
Hey, I'm on this show, right?
that is true, but there are grumpier and grognardier people that are on these podcasts than you. So,
Really?
oh yeah,
I find that hard to believe.
I mean, come on, DM Glenn from Thaco's Hammer, he's old man grognard himself. So,
Good point.
but yeah, he uses YouTube and podcasting, so he's not so grognardian, is he?
He's not a Luddite.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the show.
Okay.
What do we have this week, Nick?
So this episode is episode 12 from the first season of the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, The Lost Children. This one aired on December 6th of 1983. So we're getting into the Christmas season, folks.
Was there actually? I don't recall, but was there actually an episode Christmas themed one? I'm not sure there was.
I don't recall there ever being one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No. As popular as the show was, and it was very popular at the time, there was no like Christmas special. I that would have been kind of cool to me, but hey, what do I know?
Yeah, little 12-year-old Nick eating his cereal and
Yeah. At December 6th, right about that time, I'm like, 2 more weeks for Christmas vacation.
looking at your Toys R Us catalog going, I hope I got this.
No, not Toys R Us.
Sears?
I was looking at the J.C. Penney's catalog, Sears. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You're at this point, you're just a little bit older than me, so I mean, I was when growing up, I was in the sweet spot for all these cartoons that were aimed for people of my age. Like your age group definitely was into these cartoons, but my age group is what it was aimed for, like the 7, 8, 9, 10, right around there. Like this, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers, that was all 7, 8, 9, 10 area frame. I mean, they picked up the 11 and 12, 13, 14. Obviously, they loved it, but they weren't aiming for those.
Right, they were aiming for the younger single-digit crowd for the most part.
Yeah. Go on.
So, but, The Lost Children, this was written by Jeffrey Scott.
He writes
and directed by... Yeah. Oh, my God. I think he wrote the majority of them.
Yeah.
But directed by John Gibbs and Bob Richardson, who was uncredited for the episode directing it. Yeah. So the basic synopsis of this episode is, with the help of another group of lost children, the kids must brave the dangers of Venger's Castle. Venger's
Castle?
Venger's Castle. Well, Shazam! Venger's Castle to locate a ship, which, according to the Dungeon Master, just might take them home. And this has actually an IMDb rating of 7.3.
Well, it was rather strange. That's why.
It's a strange... and so they start the episode. There's a storm force. There's like mountains around. Eric's complaining again, as always, like about the rain. So he asks Presto for something to help.
You notice that he asked for help, but yet he's using his shield as an umbrella anyway.
Yeah. So he looks like he pulls an umbrella out of the hat, but it's actually like Eric tries to open it, and it's like a bat. It screams, scares Eric, and he face plants into the water.
Did you hear the rhyme for that?
I don't pay attention to the rhymes anymore. They're just stupid.
Alika Watsis, let's give this a try. Please give me something to help us dry. Keep us dry. So are we gonna call this a failure? Yes.
Epic fail.
Why don't we put a little failure down on that mark there, buddy?
Yeah. I hadn't marked that one. So
hey, I did it.
No, you didn't.
No.
So Eric face plants into the water, and then right in front of him, hey, DM shows up.
Well, you forgot the really great one-liner there, too.
What was that?
Presto apologizes, and he says, my hat doesn't work very well when it's wet.
When it rains.
And then Eric's response was, or any other time.
Yeah.
That one had me laughing out loud, too.
That,
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, because, he gets up, and somebody asks, how long will it rain? And DM's like, last time it rained real long was like 3 years. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna call an audible and a BS on that one. They've been there for probably. At one point they say months. I think Sheila says in one of the episodes, we've been here for months, and it hasn't ever rained. And now it rains. He says it's rained the last time for 3 years.
Yeah. The last time it rained, it was layering for 3 years.
Yeah, I think the DM was trying to pull a fast one.
Yeah, and Eric's like, "Hey, you would happen to have like a boat on you?" But he goes, "No, but I know a ship that you could get to, and it's capable of taking them home." But he tells them that they must find the lost children. All right, and when he's telling them this thing, if you pause it at like almost at the 2-minute mark, he looks really evil and ominous.
Oh yeah, that when he has his hand,
that look on his face, like I'm gonna get these little creeps.
DM is definitely the evil one here. Maybe Avenger is really the good guy in all this.
Yeah, I think he might be just misunderstood. So,
freaking Dungeon Master disappears again too.
Yeah, well, he's like he mentions that a ship. You got to find the lost children.
Peace.
And then he disappears because they're asking him, "Tell us more about this ship," and they're like, and he disappears. Jerk.
Yeah, exactly. They look at each other and they look back and he's gone. I'm like, dude, he was right in front of you.
So, like, scene changes. They're like around this place. Looks like there's some columns looking for these kids, and there's like an arrow just thwack right into a tree. And there's another one that almost hit Uni. Sorry.
Yeah. So what else
I know you were hoping.
Yeah. I know.
And she goes like, they can't hit, but they can't see. And she goes like invisible and all that jazz. Eric jumps into a bush. and then he finds in the bush, there's like a little like kid. It's just a kid.
One of those voices for the kids sounds exactly like one of the voices that was in Teen Titans that played, was it Star Child? I swear it's that. I mean, it's probably not because of the 20-year gap between them, but it sounds just like the same voice actress. I'm like, that has to be. Maybe it was her earlier in her career. I don't know. But
it's funny when Bobby like goes over to the bush. It's like, I'll take care of it. Smacks the hammer down, and like this little red-headed girl pops out with a spear, and he's like, "Ew, a girl. I don't like girls.
I don't fight girls. Ugh.
I don't like girls. Ew. I don't fight girls." And it looks like Hank's like gonna shoot one of them.
Yeah. Then he stops.
And then Diana gets one out of a tree with her legs because she's all acrobatic. Then I love the one where it looks like the girl one is like spazzing out. She's like running, and then all of a sudden it looks like she's having a seizure.
Yeah.
And then it's actually Sheila that grabs her. I'm like, wait a minute. Is this what happened in an episode?
Yeah. Epileptic episode or something in the tree.
Yeah, having an epileptic seizure. And then like there, I guess was Presto was like, maybe we could talk to them. Maybe they know sign language. And he's like, why did you attack us? And they're like, well, we thought that you were one of Avengers people because, you have your magical weapons. And they're like, oh, you speak perfect English. Well, thank you. Yeah, I know. So they ask where the ship is. They say Avengers has it. And what happened to all your adults, and the elders are all gone, which means they're dead.
Well, what about Eric saying, okay, lost children, now you're found. Where's your ship? Take us to your yacht club.
Take us to your yacht club. Yes. Like, take us to your leader, take us to your yacht club. So
he has the best
I guess
lines.
the only one left is this one called Alfor.
Yes, Alford or Alford.
Yeah, he's been captured by Avenger. And then they decide they're going to stay with the kids. And it's getting dark. That's what Hank says, because he's such an awesome ranger, because he can tell between daylight and nighttime. And so the scene melts over to Venger's castle. And then you see somebody like in like heavy coveralls with like something over their head with a blowtorch.
He looks like he's in a welder's suit.
Basically, yeah, it is a welder's suit.
That's what I was thinking
he's working. So I'm assuming, okay, he's working on this ship with a blowtorch. Okay, cool. And then
it's basically what it was. It was a blowtorch.
Yeah. So exposition from Venger's like, the ship is almost finished, and that'll be the most powerful being here in the realms. Blah blah blah. And then Shadow Demon sneaks up on him.
Did you notice Venger's voice being really weird in this episode?
I think he has asthma.
Like when I first heard it, I'm like, that doesn't sound like his voice, really.
Well, you listen to him, and he sounds kind of hollow at times. I think he's an asthmatic.
Maybe.
Forgot his little breather thing, and
maybe he's got a.
Yeah, right.
We take a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm better.
And like Shadow Demon sneaks up on him. He was like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, what, dude? What is with the Shadow Demon sneaking up on Venger all the time? It's like, dude,
because he likes to see him jump.
Okay,
he is a demon.
Very true.
And then Shadow Demon tells him that the kids have been spotted, and he's like, excellent, yes. And then the guy in the welder suit is like, "Oh, don't hurt them, or I won't fix your ship. Fix the ship." And then Venger's like, and the guy in the suit's like, "Your threats don't, they don't. You got nothing, man." And Venger goes back to Shadow Demon, says, "Capture them, but do not harm them." Ooh.
Yeah, right.
So he wants them captured, but not harmed.
Sure. Trust Shadow Demon to do anything right.
Yeah, and then Welder guy goes back to fixing whatever he's fixing, which we all assume is the ship, because you never see it fully.
Yeah,
you never see the ship fully till like the last 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, like the last
episode.
act, the very last act. Yeah,
very last act, basically. So Welder Man, which we assume is Al. I think he says his name is Al 4. I think Venger does say his name. It goes back to fixing whatever it is. And then it melts back to the scene, I guess, into these ruins where they're with the kids are sitting eating around a fire. And Eric asks for salt for his, looks like his kebab. And this one of the kids says, Salgor. He says, no, not sugar, salt. Whoever heard of putting salt on sugar on a potato?
Yeah. Basically calls him a dummy.
And the one girl next to this other one says, I was afraid that you don't understand. His name is Salgor. Oh, and then Eric's like, oh, that's cute. Well, then I'm Thumper. That's Bambi. And this is Dumbo.
Eric, be nice.
That's
what Diana says to him. Eric, be nice, you jerk.
That was one of the best ones ever. I had to write that one. Well, it's like, I'm Thumper, that's Bambi, and this is Dumbo.
I'm telling you, Eric gets the best lines in all these things.
He does. And so the fire's almost going out. Bobby wants to go to get the firewood. Sheila says, cool, go. And he's walking with the little girl. And this is where it gets one of the little funky moments. She's like, you're allowed to go out on your own? And she says, I wasn't allowed to go on my own till I was 55.
Yeah.
Zoinks! They're really old. And then it's like, Bobby's like, well, how old are you now? She goes, I'm 74.
Did you catch the mistake that they made on that whole scene?
No.
So Bobby's like, I'm almost 10. Well, remember he had his birthday in episode 8, which made him 10?
Right.
So, whoops!
So, a little continuity error. Who cares, right?
Either this episode was written before that other episode, or the writers basically sat down to write this episode and looked at the series Bible and went, Bobby, almost 10. Okay, Bobby's almost 10. Write that in.
Right.
I mean, I caught that. I was
And
like, wait
Bobby,
a minute. He's 10.
Like drops all of his sticks and it's like, what?
Yeah.
And goes to Sheila. This girl's like 74. Like, really? Eric's like, really?
Yeah.
and then the joke is, Salgor, he's not 74. So I forgot I guess it was a boy. You can't really tell.
Nah. Other than wearing that little patch of fur over their chest area, you couldn't tell.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, it's fine. It's just the way they drew them. They were just kind of...
Yeah, kind of androgynous in a way.
Yeah, no big deal.
And she's like, Salgor, that's not funny. He's 73 and a half.
Wah, wah,
Wah,
wah.
wah. Yeah.
I guess that was supposed to make fun of Bobby and his whole, I'm almost 10.
Yeah.
And they talk about how middle age is 552 years old.
500, yeah.
Yeah. And that's their
And then Eric's like, what? You like in school for 360 years?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, being a child for 70-something years is probably going to be like a disaster anyway, so...
Yeah, imagine your teenage years in that type of life. So, meanwhile, the next day,
right
near
now,
Avengers Castle.
Before you jump over to Avengers Castle, meanwhile, at Avengers Castle, these lost kids,
Yes.
to you or me, they basically just look like humans with face paint, right?
Yeah, face and body paint, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they look like. So I just wanted to establish that before we went any further. They look like humans.
They just look like little, I guess, Aboriginal tribal people.
Right, and I was thinking to myself, okay, this has to be somewhere. So I started looking around for them. I didn't find anything on them. So, I mean, you said you didn't either. So I guess they're nothing, but that leads us up to later on, so continue.
Yeah, we go into some sort of Eric Van Doniken Chariots of the Gods sort of stuff. I'll explain. So we get to the next day. The scene melts to the next day. They're looking for Avengers Castle. They find this little, I guess, hole in a chasm, and then they find Avengers Castle, and they peer over like a cliffside, and they see all the Avengers troops, lizardmen, some orcs, whatnot. They're doing military drill out in this all around the castle. So they're like, how are we going to get in? And Eric's like, what do you mean? What do you mean want to go in, get closer? What are you talking about? And then Sheila is like, pretty much volunteers to go in. And she demonstrates her invisibility cloak. And the lost kids are like, they're magic. Wow.
Is this magic?
What is this magic you speak of? Yeah. So she, Hank tells her, she's got to find where this L4 guy is, sneak in, and Eric's complaining as usual, doesn't think it's a great idea. So Sheila starts to sneak in, and she sneaks by a sleeping orc, not hard to do. She goes by these two lizard men. They're at the front door, and she says, "Hey, lizard lips," to distract the lizard men guards. And one goes, "What you say?" And you I say nothing. You go watch. And so she gets in. So she's acting here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of really does a thiefy thing.
Yeah, for once.
She walks into there. She pulls the cloak back over herself again because I guess an orc walks in through a door. Or it was some lizardmen, yeah, some lizardmen. And then she almost steps on what looks like a trip laser beam, and above her is this really obvious cage that would drop on you.
That's rattling from the non-existent wind.
Non-existent. Right. I'm like, oh my god, she's actually used the thief skill.
Yeah.
Kinda.
She spotted the obvious laser beam roll.
Yeah. So her like spot obvious skill is like 99%. So good job.
Miss Captain Obvious there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the laser beam tripwire thingy didn't work. She goes stealth again.
Was it a freaking laser beam?
And she had this stupid line. She says, "Gee, I hope Venger keeps the dungeon in the basement."
Yeah.
Doy, where the heck else would it be? In his closet?
Wow.
In his bathroom.
Wow.
That's just horrible dialogue. That's horrible.
You know.
It's written for, yes. It was written for your age at that time. So
Hey.
Yeah, by this time I'm on my second bowl of cereal and not caring.
Yes.
So, yeah. But it was bad dialogue in that point.
Yeah, God, it was.
But she gets to the dungeon, and it's in the basement.
Shocker.
Yeah, and she thinks she finds Alfor. She goes over to this cell. She's like, calling to him, and he says, "Yes, but pretty much you've been deceived. It's actually Venger, like shape shifted into some other dude, and then he shifts back in the Venger." And she like lets out like a serious like, "Oh my god!" scream. Oh, the scream was like, "Whoa!"
Yes, our master thief gets caught.
Yeah, we're such a great thief here. She's like, "Wah!"
Yeah.
And then she's captured by the lizardmen. So they go back to the group. They're all worried, right? And Presto's looking at his watch. They think that she's in trouble. We're all in trouble. That's what Eric says. And I guess one of them named Alvino says there's a 97% chance that something did happen to Sheila.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, great. Eric's like, oh brother, like these kids, like whatever. And then DM shows up again. He says that they're all in danger. Listen to Alvino. This kid knows what he's talking about. But in defeat, they will find victory. Oh yeah, that's the wisdom of Venger is gotten off of a a Chinese fortune cookie. I mean, come on, it's not real deep. So, he disappears again, and then this is where it gets, in my opinion, really weird. All of a sudden, they hear in the sky like some screeching. They get all freaked out, and I swear to God, when you see this, you probably think what I thought, and it's the Nazgul.
Yeah, yep.
Riding some dragon pterodactyl thingies. 4 of these guys show up, or 5 of these guys show up. They're wearing these cloaks. They have a single eye with carrying these pink staffs. I'm like, okay, this is almost like Gamma World territory now. I'm just like, I know that's not in the monster manual. I know that's not in the Fiend Folio. This is just something made up.
Well, I'm sure it is.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm like, great. I'm cool with that, but it just, there was like all of a sudden like, we need some Tolkien, guys. Boom. Let's draw that in there. So there we go. But they were no copyright infringement because no words were said that they were Nazgul. But the Nazgul knockoffs, as I call them, start to kick the kids' butts. Pretty much. It's just a real farce because they got beat by like one-eyed guys with pink batons. That's nothing that you would want to brag about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe Eric, as always, asks Presto to do something.
Yep.
And he goes, "Sorry, guys," and fade the commercial.
What did he say? Did I write that down? No, I didn't write that down. Drat.
It's just like whatever he said or did wasn't working. He's just like, "Sorry, guys."
Do, do, do. No, I didn't write it down.
And yeah, and then it fades to commercial time. I'm like, all right, more either I'm go to the bathroom or get more cereal. Don't get the two mixed up. So,
well, they were essentially were cyclopses, right? Those things.
no, they were something else because they were short. They had one glowing eye, no faces. It was all black. They looked like they were wearing like gauntlets or something like that, and they're carrying pink like batons. They're Nazgul knockoffs.
How about the Cyclops skin from the Monster Manual? I'm probably not pronouncing that right.
No, they're too short for that. The Cyclops skin? No.
Yeah, that's it. Cyclops skin. Yes, thank you.
No, that's not them. They're just. I looked it up. I'm like everywhere. I'm like, no, it's not that. No, it's not that. I'm like, I go with my gut. No, they ripped off Tolkien here.
Oh, I did write it down. Cloaks and weapons drop to the ground. Put Venger's troops in the lost and found.
Lost and found.
And it actually works.
Well, you don't find out until after they get back from commercial.
Right. It doesn't look like
here's what
it
happens. So what you see is you get back from the commercial break, and they're selling cartoon, toys and whatnot. I'm sure some ones for Christmas. Venger looks out over his balcony and is like, excellent, yes. Because you see 4 cloaked figures and a few of the kids. And then he's like, oh, they even captured the young one with the young barbarian. And then they cut back to the captured kids, and it's them in the cloaks with the lost children as quote unquote their prisoners. And Presto's hat did work, but they cut away the commercial.
Yeah.
You never get to see how these guys disappear. I'm like, was there a budget cut? They couldn't draw that?
It is kind of weird how they did that. You're right, because he's like, oh, sorry, and they just kind of went to commercial break with his hat glowing.
He's like, and Presto's like, yeah, I still don't know how they disappeared. I'm like, well, neither do we. We never got to see it. So apparently your magic power was dissolving to commercial and coming back. That was the work of the... So technically, yes, Presto had the hat work for him. So I marked it down. We don't see it. But we are told through exposition that it did work. It's lame, I know, but yes.
Yeah. So
they get to the door. It's guarded by a lizard man. This orc guard goes, and gives this password, Drolu Mark Gorfor.
Yeah.
Batu Bratu Nicto,
Whatever.
And they hear him say it because they're right there. And he says Golomark Gorfor and lets him in. Wow, yeah, real close. That was a tough one. So they get in.
He kind of botches it a little bit, but with that little pause, and he goes in the middle and does it. And I'm like, the lizard guy's just like meh, and he lets him in.
Meh, I don't care. I don't get paid enough.
Pretty much.
So Eric thinks he can one up everybody. So it's like, I think I could do this. So he goes up to an orc guard who's napping.
Stop 1 second here. This is the orc captain.
Because he's got the big mace, right?
And he's seen these kids multiple times.
If we're assuming that's the same one, yes.
And he looked
Yes.
Eric directly in the face because his face came out of that hood when he was talking to the guy when he comes up to him, and he didn't
Right.
recognize him. I'm like, come on.
Orcs are nearsighted.
Okay.
Short-term memory.
He lost his glasses.
Kids cartoon. That's all I got.
Oh, that's right. 8-year-old me, right?
Right. So Eric asks directions for where to take the new prisoners. Am I supposed to take them to the new dungeon or the old dungeon? Which way?
Yeah.
And you're like, cringeworthy here. Like, the orc's like, yeah, that way, cell 3. Dumbass. I'm waiting for him to say that under his breath. Well, I got the cell 3, or what he was told was cell 3, right? So they're on their way there. Shadow Demon kind of pops out of the wall and goes back to Venger and says,
Tattletale.
yeah, the young ones are here. I'm thinking young ones. That was a great show back in the 80s.
No, not that show.
It's like, where's Vivian? And Neil eating lentil. So he goes back and says, the young ones are here. And he goes, good, better than I planned.
Well, yeah. He's
So
like, I
basically,
know.
Venger was expecting them.
Yeah, like a big jerk.
Right. So he already set a trap for them, because that's Venger. It looks like it's cell 3 because the number 3 is right there. And Presto goes up to there, tries to get the lock open. Apparently, Presto is also a thief, too. He dual-classed sometime.
Well, yeah,
so
maybe.
Maybe. You never know.
Meh.
Got a little bit of a dual-classing time with Sheila. What?
Whoa.
Now. It's code.
We know.
Saying you're dual classing is code for another thing. So Uni goes up to the door, scrapes away the dirt, and it's actually number 13.
Very subtle, by the way.
Yeah, and then so Presto opens the door, and it looks like it lets out a zombie. I think.
I'm not sure what the heck that even was.
Some purplish monster with a hair lip. So they have a fight with the guards. The captain knocks away Eric's shield because he's useless. He says he knows he's got a black belt in karate, which means nothing. So they have this fight with the orc guards, and Eric's like, ooh, I must be better than I thought, because he just closed his eyes and flailed his arms around like a doofus. They find Sheila, and you got to go to, stop at 1442.
Okay.
You stop it there. You can see that's, guys, I'm here. You can see she still has her cloak on.
Yeah, well.
She's in the cell with her cloak on. Really, Venger? Lazy? Why?
I'm like 8-year-old me.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm working with it. So, but yeah, I noticed that. I'm looking. I'm like, wait a minute.
She has her cloak on.
She still has her cloak on. Like, why wouldn't she just disguise herself? Put the stealth device on,
and then hide.
And then hide. But no.
Wow.
But then again, where's Sheila we're talking about here? She's not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. She's pretty, but not smart. That's okay, though. She's our thief, and we love her, right?
Yes, we love her to death.
So we're, Eric starts calling out for Alfor, and apparently he can, bust doors open, too, or knock locks off with his shield. He knocks it off. He knocks off the lock to Alfor's dungeon door, and he's like, oh, it's a monster. He's going to eat us. It's Bigfoot.
It's Ukla.
Yeah, it's Ukla the Mock. But
speaking of which,
he does say, he's a Bigfoot. He's like, he's going to eat us. But the kids are like, no, he won't eat you. He's a vegetarian. We all are vegetarians.
Join us.
Join us. Now, this is where I pause, okay?
Well, yeah, I wanted to
Looks
say
like-
something too about Ukla because I found a good little interesting fact about Ukla.
Ukla the Mock?
Yes, Ukla the
Or
Mock.
this... Well, I thought he was like a Sasquatch Bigfoot, okay?
Yeah.
Now, all right, work with me on this. The thing
All right.
that was like during the 70s and the 80s, there was this whole thing that, like if you were in the whole UFO thing and all that jazz, you know,
Yeah.
Unsolved Mysteries with Leonard Nimoy, or was it In Search of?
No,
There was
that's
this
In
whole
Search
thing. There
of.
was this,
Unsolved
yeah, In
Mysteries
Search
with
of
Robert
Leonard
Stack.
right? Yeah. Anyway, but there was this whole thing that there might have been like a tie-in with like Sasquatch and UFOs and stuff like that. So you'll see where this leads, right? Kind of looks like a Sasquatch, right? So they're kind of because that's what I was going with. I'm like, okay, they're tapping into urban legend, myth, all that stuff, right? All that kooky stuff from the 70s and 80s and still have today. So, but these, Eric's like, great. He's like, what? You guys grow up to be Wookiees?
Yeah, that one had
Like-
me laughing out loud too.
I'm like, that's awesome. Like,
Oh, so what I wanted to say about Ukla was, do you know how Ukla got the name Ukla?
no. I don't.
So when I was talking to Buzz Dixon, I'm not sure if he mentioned it on the podcast or before, because we had a long conversation before the podcast. So I'm not sure if it translated over, but we did talk a little thunder on that podcast. So listen to that if you haven't, folks.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
he said-
you might want to pause the show here if you're pause the cartoon here because there's a little exposition going up. This is good.
Ukla, no, it's really not that long. Ukla came
that's
from
great.
the term UCLA because they were going through the arches, the writers, when they were at the college at the time. And they're like, Ukla. Oh, we'll call him Ukla. So, yeah, he basically, that's
like
how
it.
that's how they got the name. UCLA actually phonetically sounded out. Ukla.
Phonetically is Ukla.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. Nothing, just a
I
little
know
tidbit.
that's great.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
never
know
knew
that.
that.
Yeah, it was cool when
That's
he told me
pretty
that.
cool. All right. So we got our Ukla Sasquatch creature here,
Wookie.
Alfor. They attempt to sneak to go to the ship, right? So they put on the cloaks again. They're like 3 to a cloak. Apparently, they all magically got really long. These
That's-
cloaks that they used.
That's why they're Cyclopean.
Well,
They were
no,
on their knees. Leave
whatever.
it alone.
So they go to the room where this ship is, and it's a spaceship. What do you know? I think we all saw that one coming, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's a weird looking spaceship too. It's like got an open cockpit. It kind of looks like a weird boat, like a weird speedboat, And if you look at it close enough, it looks like it has 666 on the side on the nose.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it looked like it says 666. I'm like, really?
Huh.
Yeah, it's funny. That's hilarious. So that's when they find out that they're from another planet and it's a spaceship, and that's where it ties in the whole like, well, Bigfoot creatures, Sasquatch, UFOs. Got it. Great. Now it's like we're just kit bashing everything from everywhere in this one episode. Like myths and legends about Sasquatch. We have Nazgul stolen from Tolkien. You're like, wow. All within about a little over 20 minutes, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, we're already 17 minutes in. I'm like, well played, animators and writers. You really outdid yourselves here. So Venger shows up, right? Because Eric's like, and then Eric gets all scared. He runs towards the ship. They're surrounded, and he's like, how we start this crazy thing? L4 says it still needs to be fixed. The motivator, quote unquote, motivator needs to be fixed.
Right.
So a battle ensues, right? Presto, wants tries to pull a 20-ton tank out of his hat, right? And he gets a toy tank out of it. Didn't mark it as being useful yet. Okay? So just work with me on this.
Okay.
So yeah, little toy tank rolls out. It's cute. Great, just rolls across the floor. Sheila distracts the lizard men. She goes basically poof. She goes stealth, and the lizard men look at each other like, "She gone? Where's she go?" And you remember our laser beam tripwire?
Yes.
Well, apparently lizardmen can't see the big red beam on the floor.
Well,
Trip it, and they get stuck in the cage. And she goes, "She go bye-bye now."
they're farsighted.
Apparently that, too. Their vision is not very good. More lizardmen start to show up. They all get into the ship. The action's getting really crazy. Yeah, and this is where, if you pause the show at 1843, if you look real close, it looks like the artwork on the side of the ship looks like it says 666.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. I don't know if that was intentional, but I mean, the little swirly black curls, yeah, it kind of looks like that. Like, apparently the number of the beast is on the side of the ship. So that means L4 is Satan. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, I did write down the Presto rhyme if you want to hear that again.
No, the Presto's rhymes just...
Aw.
No.
Well, I'm going to do it anyway. Magic hat.
Bye.
I'm going to be frank. What we need now is a 20-ton tank.
You wished for a 20-ton tank. I got the gist of it.
Which was a light tank, if you think about it.
Light tank. It was a tiny tank. It was a toy tank.
In tank terms, that's an awfully light tank. Because I think most tanks are, 30 tons around World War II time?
20-ton tank was like,
a baby tank.
For sure. If you're talking actual tonnage. Yes.
Yeah.
So Avenger gets like almost right next to the spaceship. The toy tank goes like right up to his toes. He was like, "What is this thing?" And he stomps on it, and it goes kaboom.
Yeah.
So it is useful. I marked it down. It didn't necessarily hurt them, but it hurt him, but it blinded him, I guess.
Well,
distracted him enough.
It threw him off so they can get out of there. So
right. So it looks like Eric says, "Oh, now we're going through Avenger's trash compactor because the doors are going chomp, chomp, chomp."
Well, yeah. Well, they get up, they start to leave, and just like, "Oh, you're not getting away," and he zaps this gem above where the hole is they're supposed to go, and it turns into why didn't he just close the door? Why does it have to be a trash compactor?
More exciting.
8-year-old me.
Yeah, I think more exciting because he wanted to see them smashed and crushed.
But he wants the ship at this point still.
Yeah, actually, then in that sense, it doesn't make really any sense at all.
Like, he has the ability to zap that to make the thing go plong, plong, plong,
yeah,
plong.
to make it just cover up the exit.
Why didn't he just zap it to close the door?
Right.
Because at this point, he still wants the ship, and then we get into what I mean in a second, so continue.
Right. But they escape. He pulls like a Millennium Falcon maneuver to get out of there.
Because he's a Wookiee.
And Venger's like, fine, if I can't have it, nobody can have it. Shoots a blast into the back of it. They're crashing. They crash over the back end of a mountain. And Venger's like, good.
Meh.
They're done. And then Shadow Demon shows up conveniently after the battle. He's like, "Master, what about their weapons?" He's like, "No doubt they're destroyed too. Whatever."
It's just, I'm just thinking to myself.
And that's what kind of blew my mind. He's like, he's been wanting to get these magic items like forever, right?
Yep.
And like Shadow Demon's, what about their weapons? And Dungeons Master's like, they're probably destroyed. Whatever.
When he said that, I'm just like, he basically just went, meh, they're dead. And just turns around and walks away. I'm like,
he's like, good, they're destroyed along with their magic items. I'm like, didn't you want their magic items too?
well, yeah, I mean, Shadow Demon wants you to go fly over there, see if they survived. Maybe the weapons flew out. Shadow Demon, go look.
Maybe that's his weakness, hubris.
Stupidity?
That too.
Oh, okay.
He is kind of
He's a big dummy.
A big dummy.
Yeah.
So they're like crashed in kind of a swampy area. They all get out of the ship, and
How the hell did they survive that?
yeah, and like Eric and Presto are up in a tree. They fall down into the swamp area.
I mean, they don't have seatbelts. Diana's standing, and
Yeah,
there's no
they're all
airbags on this thing, obviously. So how the hell did they survive? And that explosion, by the way.
Magic.
Okay, the explosion made it look like
Power of love.
no, made the ship look like it actually
It
exploded.
Yeah, when it hit on crash and impact.
But when you look at the ship, it's just basically the ship with some smoke coming out of it. It's like
it's dented
didn't-
up a little here and there. Got some moss and seaweed stuck to it. But
It's a
otherwise-
convertible now too.
Yeah. No, other than that, not much to wear, right? Well, then they ask Al for how long it'll take. He goes, not too long. 15 years.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
We get our one last funny one-liner from Eric.
Well,
You remember what it was?
here we go again.
No, when he says 15 years, he's like, I think we better switch to another airline.
Oh, yeah. So they're like, good luck with the ship, fixing it. We'll catch you later, dudes.
Peace.
I'm like, what was the point of all this now?
And
then
no
they
dungeon
they
master.
go off into like the distance, and then Eric's like, here we go again, trapped forever.
Yeah, he's
He's
doing one of those forced smile wave things. Like,
he's like, yeah,
you
we went
jerks.
all through this for nothing.
you big
Thanks.
jerks.
Now, okay, this is a trope in D&D that has been used multiple times, right from the very beginning, right? As where you have like some science fiction-y elements thrown into a Dungeons and Dragons game, right?
Yeah.
The obvious expedition to the barrier peaks. And then you have, I think, another one is the Temple of the Frog was one of those. I think they had something in there, a D&D, a module. And all the Blackmore stuff too.
Wasn't White Plume Mountain another one of them too?
No, there was no science fiction elements in that.
Oh, I thought there was. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, I'm not a module person, so I apologize there.
But Expedition to the Barrier Peaks is probably the most obvious one. But there was another one I was thinking of. There was this was later in second edition. I think it was called the Night of the Comet.
Oh, I don't know much about second edition at all.
It was
so.
tied to World of Greyhawk, and I think it had to deal with something like a crashing spaceship. Because that's what it looked like from the cover art. And then there was the whole adventures in Blackmore for regular D&D, because with Blackmore there was like the City of the Gods, which was like a technological paradise.
Yeah.
In the far north. So, I mean, I guess you could take this as like tying it into an adventure.
Well, no DM at the end of the episode at all.
Right.
Notice that. And we're up to what? 3 or 4 attempts now at this point, maybe 5 to get home, and all have been just dead ends or duds, except for the last episode, which was the closest they've come home to actually
the box. Yeah,
the closest they've got to home. Like a couple episodes before, they went through that
the waterfall thing.
The waterfall thing where they almost went home. So I think this is the closest was the box.
The box, right? But I think as far as like tying in like some of this stuff to like a regular adventure is maybe, yes, there was a spaceship that crashed in your campaign world, and some maybe enemy power or somebody,
I don't know. I got like a Spelljammer like vibe from the whole ship thing, but I know Spelljammer wasn't a thing just yet.
Later. Yeah.
Because that's a
That
second
wasn't
edition.
until about almost like 10 years later, but you could, kind of is like that. I was kind of thinking, okay, spaceship crashes on the world, some like enemy kingdom like gets it, that gets the survivors. They need to fix it, but you're going to try to find where this thing is, and you have to stop them from fixing it. You want to get it for something that was kind of the thing I was going with on that. You got to tie in the spaceship to something.
By the way, that spaceship. I meant to make it was very weird, and that's a spaceship, not a planet ship, may I add. So that goes into space, correct?
Yes, I would assume.
So that means that these Wookiee people can breathe in space?
Yeah, because there's like no enclosure for
There's
them.
nothing there.
Maybe a force field?
All right, yeah, maybe that's what it was, but
That's I know I'm reaching.
You are.
But I'm like thinking, crash spaceship, it's found. Somebody takes it, they need to fix it. They capture the people who are survivors. They need to fix it. Maybe trying to get them to fix it. And maybe it's a race against time from having this evil force fix this spaceship, which could be used as a weapon to take over the world.
What you could do,
I don't know.
I was thinking also.
That's what I was kind of thinking.
What you could do for a good one is that you hear rumors of this ship that flies. And it doesn't even have to be a spaceship. It could just be a ship that travels from really fast over land, kind of like a land speeder type ship from Star Wars type thing.
Right.
You hear rumors.
And you know what? It kind of looked like that. It looked like one of those sand skiffs.
Yeah, it did.
That's what it looked like.
And you just, you hear rumors of it, and it's quick travel, but, you don't know where it is, and you hear some rumors about it. And then you finally find it, and you find that it's in, like, ruins. And you have to, you find, like, the person that's, some, like, old guy that's there, and he's like, oh, I can't get it fixed. If only I could find these parts. And maybe you give the adventurers, the hook there to go find these parts and various like things around the realm.
Right.
I was thinking that might be interesting to do. I mean,
that would be too.
The ship.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing too. As far as like the ship, you wouldn't know it's a spaceship. You just know it's some mystical ship that they fix it.
And it could have been a spaceship, but it's being used as a land ship. And, the old guy could be like, I'm from another world, and I came to this planet, and I crashed, and pieces of the ship went flying, and I was not able to do it because I'm so old, and this atmosphere makes me so feeble. Please
so he just kind of
me.
like blended into the population and lived his life.
Yeah, and then maybe, because you usually when you play these games, you have adventurers that are good, and they're Hank-like, or at least they're supposed to be. And, they automatically volunteer to help, so.
Yeah, but most of the players I have are kind of, their characters like Eric.
So they're all dicks, is what you're saying.
Oh, maybe some of them like Bobby.
Well, I mean, they're going to just probably go with it anyway because they know they're going to get to kill stuff, so they'll probably be like, meh, I'll help.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I'd probably do it. Yeah, that's how I'd probably do that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully everybody's enjoyed this very episode of the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon. Stay tuned next week when we talk about...
Don't talk like that. No.
Dungeons & Dragons, the Clouds.
No, stop.
What?
No. Just no. No, sir.
When I was doing my Marvel actual play, because we have our little actual play podcast for Marvel...
Yes.
One of the characters invented an AI for like an LMD AI. You watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at all, or?
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Well, they had Ada on there, which is supposed to be the life form.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, I kind of modeled it after her. So every time she talked, I had to talk like this. This is Ada the robot. And
so like you're on NPR.
Yeah, well, not as bad as NPR, and the robot would talk like this. How are you doing there, Nick? Nick, would you like me to go get you a glass of water? Would you like a cookie, Nick?
Fine.
How about another bowl of cereal with some milk?
That would be good, too. Good times.
Definitely, yeah.
Good times.
Good times. And every time on NPR, we talk like this, and we talk about really, really boring topics. And hopefully you're enjoying these topics. As you know, when you sit at the table to play Dungeons & Dragons and you roll your d20, normally you have a 5% chance of rolling a 20, which is definitely a critical... Yeah, right? Imagine it was like that, talking about D&D. You'd freaking pass out, man.
Oh my God, that'll put insomniacs to sleep.
I legitimately, I had a conference call at work today with from somebody from Wilmington, where our headquarters is, and he was telling us about the new product we were doing. And literally, I thought I was listening to NPR because he was talking like this the whole time. He's like, so when you log in, you put in these credentials, and then when you get in there, you type this, and then you click on this. And we're just like... the whole time.
Oh
it was
God.
so bad. I'm like, dude, get someone else to demo your product to us.
Really? I could do it.
Yeah. Anyway,
Great.
so, all right, rfistaff@gmail.com. Hit us up on facebook.com /RFI Podcast. Head over to our Discord server where we have a whole bunch of activity going on lately, and it's been blowing up in there, and people have been chatting left and right. We got some blood going on in there, some new blood, and people... That's what I meant to say, new
Cage
blood.
match going on.
Yes, it's Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh God.
You remember that movie?
Yes, I do.
Not one of his worst movies, but not one of his best movies.
His best, no. That was the most muscled Asian man I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, well, speaking of Jean-Claude Van Damme, I saw that they did another kickboxer movie with him in it just recently.
Really?
Yeah, it was I think it was last year, and he fought the dude from the original movie, Tao Pao, whatever his name was. I'm like, is this dude 100 now, like Van Damme? I'm like, jeez. But the guy reprised the role again, just like the next Creed movie, Drago will be in it. Yeah, so the next Creed movie, like I said, Drago's going to be in it, reprising his role from the original Rocky IV. So we get to look forward to that.
Yes. Well, isn't it like Drago's son too?
Yeah. Apparently, Creed heads over to Russia or he comes here. Whatever the case is, he's supposed to get the revenge that was always needed for his father or something like that. So
Dolph Lundgren's going to be in it.
Oh yeah. He's
sweet.
Oh yeah. The first Creed was actually really good. I was very surprised by it.
I heard it was actually very good. Yes.
I didn't see it when it was in the theater, and it was on HBO, and I'm just like, meh, I'll give it a shot. And the wife and I watched it, and we were just like, man, we should have watched this in the movie theater. This was really good.
Yeah, I've heard it was a very good film.
And, I mean, it was really sad because what happens to Rocky in that movie. So, I mean, you have to watch it to find out, but it's kind of sad.
I will.
I won't ruin it for you, but it almost makes you cry, so...
Oh, wow.
And you do find out, which is common knowledge, they actually told you about it beforehand, that Paulie at this point is dead. So even though he was in the last Rocky movie.
Sure. I'm sure he passed away.
Yeah, you kind of get the idea that he probably... He died probably because of alcoholism, knowing him. So
you drank too much booze, you know what I'm saying?
Paulie... It's just kind of sad because Rocky in the movie at one point goes to the graves of Paulie and Adrian, and he reads the newspaper to them, which apparently it looks like he does it every day. So.
Adrian died too?
Oh, yeah. She died in the last Rocky.
She did?
Well, yeah. The one that was just called Rocky, apparently. I don't know if you want to consider that 6, and this is, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that one was awful. And
so everybody died.
Yeah, she didn't want to be in the movie, so what they did was they just said that she died of cancer.
So
yeah,
Paulie died, Adrian died, his original trainer died, Burgess Meredith.
Mick's dead.
Mickey. Got me, Mickey. Got me.
And apparently in Creed, the dude that was, I can't think of the black guy's name, that was Apollo Creed's...
That's Carl Weathers.
No, not Carl Weathers. That's not Apollo himself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about his trainer, the bald guy with the mustache.
Yeah.
Apparently, I think he died too because they don't. The only thing they show a brief clip of him, and they kind of touch upon how he's not
Apparently
there.
there was a nuclear war.
Yeah. So anyway, this is not the Rocky/Creed podcast. That's for another time.
Yeah, that's not us. Sorry, tangent people. Sorry.
Or the Dolph Lundgren or the Jean-Claude Van Damme podcast.
Right.
You can find those on iTunes and other great podcasts if you just type in the search. All right, keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Good night.
Roll for initiative.